I call this meeting to order at 6:09. At any time during the course of this meeting, the board may retire to executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551071 and 551072. Roll call, please.
Oscar Salinas here.
Nerida Cantu present. Mary Hernandez present.
Armin Garza present.
Alex Cantu present.
Claudia Ochoa present.
SB Ochoa present. Dr. Science, I do declare a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here for our meeting. Today is Veterans Day. It's a special day to thank the brave military men and women in our country who fought to maintain our way of life and the freedoms that we enjoy. At La Jolla ISD, all our veterans hold a special place in our hearts and in our minds because they risked their lives for us. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize any veterans that are in the house. So veterans, please stand so that we can thank you and recognize you. On behalf of all our Board of Trustees and our administration veterans, we would like to say thank you so much for your service and your commitment to our country. We'll now go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening we have Aliyah Boaudi. Aliyah is a first grade student at Cavazos Elementary. She is 6 years old and participates in UIL oral reading. She recently was recognized as an October Cavazos Elementary Superstar. Congratulations, Aliyah. Aliyah is the daughter of Maxwell and Amanda Boaudi. Will everyone please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Aliyah. Good job. Good job. Her family and parents, please stand. Thank you.
Next, we'll go on to public comments, and we do have Mr. Javier Peña. At this time, we would like to remind Mr. Peña that your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Our board attorney will keep time. You are to deliver comments in a professional and courteous manner. You may not attack anyone by name, and you are expected to comport according to board policy BED local. Do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to the board and to the audience here. I'm here to help shed some light on some issues that have come up. I've seen some news articles, I've seen some reports that have come out, specifically the insurance consultant report, which was for some reason read into the record at the last meeting. That report left out some very important information that I think this board has been made aware of with an emailed report from an independent consultant. And those things are, first off, the rates being complained of by this board and by that consultant are not rates that were set by the insurance agent that the board is attempting to renegotiate or fire, depending on which letter is to be believed from the school district attorneys. The rates that are being complained of were set by you all, the board. And I think it's important to understand that these rates were locked in under the new insurance agent through a settlement agreement, not through a service contract, but a settlement agreement. I'm sure your attorneys will tell you what the difference between those two types of contracts are. Settlement agreements are fully enforceable under state law. Service agreements, not so much. But in order to understand why this is important, I think it's important for everyone here also to understand the timeline of events. In 2012, this board issued a contract, a renewal, to Ruth Villarreal Insurance, the company. In January, the following year, just months later, after an election, January 2013, the school district fired her. Through litigation, several board members, including J.J. Peña, admitted under oath that the reason for that firing was for politics. It was a political move on behalf of the board. And because of those admissions, the school district was forced to settle.
Mr. Peña, 1 minute remains.
In the meantime, the school district hired another insurance agent. Ruth's rates at that time were much lower. The school district hired a new agent who had donated $10,000 to several school board members and then raised his rates to the rates that the school board is complaining of. That's very important to understand. Now, the settlement agreement has a clause that the district can negotiate the fees, not the services. And I think in order to avoid another long battle that's only going to make the children, the students, the parents, and the residents of the area suffer again, it's incumbent on the school board to exercise their right to negotiate the rates, not just summarily fire an insurance agent. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
Sorry.
For the enrollment report as of November 5th, 2019, we had 12,952 elementary students, 14,412 secondary students, for a total of 27,364 students, which is 686 students less than this date last year. That's the enrollment report. The next item on the superintendent's report is recognition of Miguel Oyervides, a La Jolla ISD bus driver, and this will be done by Mr. Raul Gonzalez, Transportation Director.
Yes, please. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Madam President, Dr. Science, and Administration. On behalf of the Transportation Department, we would like to recognize Mr. Miguel Oyervides for going above and beyond with our students. Mr. Oyervides takes the time to read 10 minutes to his students every morning before he unloads them at their campus, San Fordyce. And for his efforts, he was recognized and nominated to Channel 4 Hometown Heroes segment. Mr. Oyervides, thank you for what you do for our students. It is an honor to have you as a co-worker. Thank you for what you do, sir. We would now like to recognize Mr. Oyervides with a certificate of appreciation.
Ms. S.B. Ochoa, School Board President, and Mary Hernandez, Vice President, will give Mr. Oyervides his award. Congratulations.
Before we move on to the next item, many years ago, I had the distinct honor and privilege of coaching that young man right there. I think I had him from when he was 12 to about 15. And at that time, that young man exhibited leadership qualities and hero qualities. At that time, I remember thinking about, I admired this young man's heart. Like, I mean, he was such a good kid and went through so much adversity, but yet never made an excuse, was there every day, was a leader of men. And when I opened up the newspaper and I saw that he was there, it was to no surprise that it was this gentleman here doing something like that, giving back to La Jolla ISD. He's a product of La Jolla ISD. He has a huge heart. And from the bottom of my heart and everybody here on the board, son, thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Oyervides. We're very proud that you're one of our bus drivers. Thank you so much for everything you do for our students. Thank you. Next is recognition of trustee Clavia Ochoa, and Ms. Espi Ochoa will do that award. This evening, we're recognizing Ms. Ochoa for her year of service, the 2018-19 school year, as school board president. Thank you, Mrs. Ochoa, for your dedication and commitment to the education of La Jolla ISD's children and employees. Thank you so much for your service. And Mrs. Ochoa would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Science. I'm sorry, I wrote it. I'm sorry, give me a second. So I would like to thank the board, administration, teachers, staff, and community for allowing me to serve as a board president for a short time that I served in that position. When I came on the board in November of 2016, there was a demand for change in the way the district handled its business. I fought for that change, taking politics out of the decision-making here on the board and focusing on what is best for the district and the family it serves. Although I believe we made a lot of positive change, the board recently took an unprecedented step of ending my presidency before the term ended and then passed up another board member with more seniority. I understand there are a lot of outside pressures on certain board members, but it is my hope that this board will ignore those outside pressures and focus on the district's needs and not the needs of those outsiders and third parties. I am no longer in the position of president, but I'm still here to represent those who elected me to change the broken system that has dragged our district down so many times in the past. I will continue to fight to improve our district for the kids, employees, and our community. Thank you very much. Thank you.
For our next recognition, if I could have Mr. Armin Garza and Mr. Alex Cantu recognize these students. And we will do recognition of Palmview High School, Juarez Lincoln High School, varsity cross-country regional and state qualifiers, and this will be done by Victor Garza, our athletic director.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Espi Ochoa, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Gisela Science, administration, principals present today, and the community. We want to thank you for the opportunity to come present before you and recognize the following student athletes that have excelled not only in the classroom, but just recently out in the field. With us today, we have 31-5A second place as a team from Palmview High School boys members, Rosendo Rodriguez, Sr., Rosendo, within the next couple of days, will be receiving a scholarship offer to run for the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and be a vaquero after he finishes being a lobo. Arturo Rios, Sr., Ernesto Cruz, Jr., Gabriel Garza, a junior. Anakin Robles, a freshman. And their head coach, Coach Jorge Cantu. Not joining them today is Eduardo Solis and Reynaldo Cerda and Coach Albert Carrillo. They are all in basketball season already in force. Real quick, if I can have the principal from Palmview High School, Ms. Banya Ayala, join them, please. Once again, they were second place in district and all regional qualifiers. We thank them for their other hard effort. Thank you.
Congratulations, students. If we have any parents for this group of students, please stand so we can recognize you. Parents of this group. Muchas gracias, padres. Thank you, parents.
Next, we have the 31-5A, second place as a team also, and also as a team, regional qualifiers. We have the Palmview girls cross-country team. First, we have Giselle Gonzalez, a senior. Here again, we have another one within the next couple of days. She will be offered a scholarship to run for the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley also under a full scholarship. Senior Daniela Flores. Sophomore Destiny Castillo. Destiny was our district champion. She's a sophomore. She was also, with that, this was the 7th year in a row that Palmview High School has had the district champion of 31-5A. And we're very proud of that. She competed at regionals and did excellent at the state level this past week, and we congratulate her. Thank you, Destiny. Sophomore Jasmine Garza. Freshman Madison Vialon. Sophomore Brianna Munoz. Their head coach, Coach Claudia Bazan. And Coach Daniel Malacara. Not present here today because she's taking college courses, which is a mandatory. One of the biggest push that Coach Bazan does with them is Alia Leal, the sophomore. Principal Ms. Ayala.
Parents of this group, if you're in the audience, please stand. Congratulations, parents, and thank you so much for your support.
Next, we have the top 10 finisher, senior Nancy Maldonado from Juarez Lincoln High School, regional qualifier. With her head coach, Coach Arnoldo Cárdenas, and Coach Miranda Montalvo. Principal, Mr. Ricardo Estrada.
If Nancy's family's in the audience, please stand. Congratulations.
Next, we have the 36A third place team and regional qualifying team. First, there representing the Huskies will be dearly missed. He got third in district, eighth at regionals, did excellent at state, is being looked at by multiple universities. He hasn't decided as to what we're going to be doing with him on a scholarship to go run with him, is Mr. Freddie Calvillo Sr. Junior Anthony Calvillo. Junior Irvin Lopez. Senior Oscar Martinez. Sophomore Daniel Lopez. Junior Marco Veliz. Head coach, Coach Rene Loera and Coach Victor Ramos. Principal, Mr. Estrada.
Parents of any of these students, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, students.
With that, Dr. Sines, we thank you, and the board, we thank you for the great support that the young men, on their behalf, they wanted me to make sure. Thank you for the support in every aspect of the sport that they get. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Garza. For the next recognition, if I could have Ms. Claudia Ochoa and Nereida Cantu do the recognition. And we will have recognition of Juarez Lincoln High School Band, La Jolla High School Band, and Palmview High School Band. And this will be done by Mr. Ruben Adame, Head Fine Arts Administrator.
Good evening, Dr. Sines, Madam President, members of the board, assistant superintendents, and guests in attendance. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you to recognize our 3 high school bands for receiving a Division I rating at the 77th Annual Pigskin Jubilee Marching Contest held at Tom Landry Stadium in Mission on October 19th. Preparations for this contest started in mid-July with summer band camps at each campus and before and after school rehearsals in very challenging weather conditions. The level of commitment and dedication from every student in each band program culminated in superior performances by all 3 of our high schools. October 19th was a very proud day for La Jolla ISD and a very happy and exciting day for all of our high school band programs and their respective band families. Henry Ford said, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success." This quote truly identifies what our band programs exemplified this marching season. Watching the journey all 3 of these programs traveled through this year is nothing short of inspirational and impressive. And we can give all 3 of them a big round of applause. The first school we'll be recognizing is Juarez Lincoln High School. This year marks the 7th consecutive year the Juarez Lincoln High School Band has received a Division I rating at Pigskin. Representing the Juarez Lincoln High School Husky Band are drum majors Cecilia Martinez and Roque Sosa. Color guard captains are Jocelyn Guerra and Kate Tovar. Band directors are Jesus Perez, Trinidad Lopez Jr., and Andrea Garcia. And director of bands at Juarez Lincoln High School is Mrs. Inaya Montemayor Banda. Principal is Mr. Ricardo Estrada.
If there's any Husky Band parents, please stand to be recognized. Thank you for your support.
Our next high school is La Jolla High School. This year marks the 22nd consecutive year the La Jolla High School Band has received a Division I rating at Pigskin. Representing the La Jolla High School Coyote Band are drum majors Kalen Mendiola, Michael Gonzalez, and Luis Viveros. Color guard captains Color guard captains are Arlette Villarreal and Abigail Rangel. Band directors are Nicole Garcia, Roxanne Lopez, Angel Gamboa, and Crystal Galaviz. Director of bands at La Jolla High School is Mr. Marco A. Gandaria, and principal is Mr. Antonio Cano.
Coyote band parents, please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you for your support, parents. Congratulations, Mr. Gandaria.
Thank you.
Last and not least, we're going to be recognizing Palmview High School. This year marks the 10th consecutive year the Palmview High School band has received a Division I rating at Pigskin. Representing the Palmview High School Lobo Band are drum major Vanessa Gonzalez, color guard captains Kelly Gutierrez, Charlene Briones, and Katrina Cervantes. Band directors are Ashley Lopez, Ediel Ovalle, Adrian Cuellar, and Diego Hernandez. Director of bands at Palmview High School is Mr. Jacob Banda, and principal is Mrs. Ivana Ayala.
Lobo parents that are in the audience, please stand so we can recognize you.
On behalf of our entire band family, Dr. Sines, board members, administrators, thank you all for all your support. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Adame. For the next recognition, we would like to have all our board members. Maybe somebody turned off the lights by mistake, I hope. Can somebody check? Thank you. For the next recognition, we would like to have all our board members please stand in front so they can recognize our principals. We're going to do recognition of Texas Education Agency Met Standard and Distinction Designation Performance Campuses for the 2018-19 school year. Magda Villarreal, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, will do this recognition.
Good evening, Ms. Board President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Science. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to recognize our schools who met standard and distinction designations performance for the 2018-2019 school year. As a district, we had 31 campuses earn distinction designations for outstanding student performance. Additionally, we had 3 schools earn all possible distinctions. These schools are Enrique Quique Camarena Elementary, Principal Mary Lily Garza. She received academic achievement in reading, math, science, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Also, Memorial Middle School, Principal Belen Martinez. Academic achievement in reading, math, science, social studies, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. And Richards Middle School, Principal Tomas Ocaña. 7 out of 7 distinctions in reading, math, science, social studies, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We also have La Jolla High School, Antonio Cano, met standard, academic achievement in math. Along with Domingo Villarreal with La Jolla Early College High School. We also have Palmview High School, Principal Ivan Ayala, met standard, academic achievement in reading, math, social studies, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We're going to stop to take pictures with the 3 campuses that got all 6 distinctions and 7 distinctions first. Congratulations. Next, we have Cuates Lincoln High School, Met Standard. Ricardo Estrada, Principal. We have Jimmy Carter Early College High School, Claudia Gomez Perez, Principal. Ms. Ponce is here representing the campus. We have academic achievement in reading, academic achievement in math, student progress, and closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Then we have Thelma Salinas STEM Early College High School, Victor Rodriguez. 3 out of 3 distinctions, academic achievement in math, post-secondary readiness, and closing the performance gap. We have De Zavala Middle School, Dr. Antonio Uresti, 6 out of 7 distinctions, academic achievement in reading, math, social studies, student progress, and closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Cesar Chavez Middle School, Rolando Rios, 6 out of 7 distinctions. We have academic achievement in reading, math, science, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We have Dr. Science Middle School, Ms. Salinas as principal, Met Standard. We have Irene Garcia Middle School, Mr. Galvan, with 5 out of 7 distinctions, academic achievement in reading, math, science, social studies, and post-secondary readiness. We have Juan de Dios Salinas Middle School, Ms. Nidia Ortiz, with 5 out of 7 distinctions, academic achievement in math, science, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We have Domingo Treviño Middle School, Principal Mr. Garcia, 5 out of 7 distinctions, academic achievement in reading, science, social studies, and student progress, and closing the performance gap. We're going to stop to take a picture. Mr. Garza, you're not there. Mr. Villarreal, we don't see you. Congratulations. Now for our elementaries. John F. Kennedy Elementary, Principal Ms. Maria Guerra, with 5 out of 6 distinctions in academic achievement in reading, math, science, and closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Guillermo Flores Elementary, Principal Ms. Escobedo, with academic achievement in reading, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We have Leo James Leo Elementary, Ms. Jasinski, 4 out of 6 distinctions with academic achievement in reading, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We have Kika de la Garza Elementary, Ms. Irene Fernandez Principal, with academic achievement in reading and post-secondary readiness. We have E.B. Reina Elementary, Ms. Principal Lucina Lara Garza, 4 out of 6 distinctions with academic achievement in reading, math, science, and post-secondary readiness. We have Chapa Elementary, Principal Ms. Laura Lopez, with academic achievement in reading, math, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. We have Escandon Elementary, Principal Ms. Mary Sepulveda, with academic achievement in reading, math, and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Diaz Villarreal Elementary, Principal Ms. Yolanda Salazar Meave, with academic achievement in science and student progress. Next, we have Cavazos Elementary, Principal Ms. Marisa Garza, with academic achievement in math, science, and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Tabasco Elementary, Principal Ms. Marina Contreras, with academic achievement in reading, math, science, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Perez Elementary, Principal Ms. Myra Ramos, with Med Standard. Next, we have Gonzalez Elementary, Principal Ms. Treviño Sandoval, with academic achievement in reading. Next, we have Benson Elementary, Ms. Hilda Mendoza, Principal, with academic achievement in reading, math, science, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Sanford Dice Elementary, Principal Ms. Roxana Peña, where we have Mr. Hernandez representing the campus with academic achievement in math and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Zapata Elementary, Principal Ms. Rosa Gonzalez Vela, with Med Standard. Next, we have Juan Seguin Elementary, Dr. Sandra Cerda, Principal, with Med Standard. Next, we have Dr. Americo Paderes Elementary, Principal Erica Gonzalez, with academic achievement in reading, math, and post-secondary readiness. We have Clinton Elementary, Principal Ms. Perez. We have, and they got a distinction in reading, math, student progress, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. Next, we have Corina Peña Elementary, Principal Ms. Clarita Facuta, with academic achievement in math. We have Evangelina Garza Elementary, Principal Maria Flores Guerra, with academic achievement in reading. And then we have Dr. Palmira Mendiola Elementary, Principal Alicia Gutierrez, with academic achievement in reading, top 25% student progress, and post-secondary readiness. And now, Ms. Mary Lily, can you join us for the picture? Elementary principals, can you all go back? Can you all go back? So we need one more picture. Last but not least, I would like to recognize our superintendent, Dr. Gisela Sáenz, for leading our C&I department for the 2018-2019 school year. La Joya ISD met standard and it's a B district with 23 distinctions in reading, 22 in math, 14 in science, 6 in social studies, 12 in student progress, 17 in closing the performance gap, and 24 in post-secondary readiness. Collectively, we earned a total of 118 distinctions. Well done. So middle schools, can you all join us? And that way you can take a picture. And high school.
Yes, let me see. Mr. Salinas and Ms. Cantu. And me? Yes. Congratulations, principals. Thank you so much for all your hard work. We appreciate everything you do for our students and our teachers. Thank you so much. Our next recognition is recognition of all 8 middle schools by the Southern Accreditation for Colleges and Schools, SACS accreditation. Ms. Nereida Cantu and Mr. Oscar Coach Salinas will recognize our middle school principals for this recognition.
Before we go on, I'd like to excuse the principals again and thank you for all your hard work. Let's just take a few seconds.
Thank you, elementary and high school principals. Thank you.
Good evening, School Board President, Ms. S.P. Ochoa, Dr. Sáenz, Superintendent of Schools.
And Ms. Hernandez and Mr. Salinas will be recognizing the middle school principals.
Okay. Okay, so I'll start again. Good evening, School Board President, Ms. S.P. Ochoa, Dr. Sáenz, Superintendent of Schools, school board members, viewing audience, and all those that are present here with us tonight. Tonight, I feel honored and privileged to recognize all 8 middle schools for having received full accreditation from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. This organization is a regional accreditor that monitors, that evaluates, and accredits education institutions like our middle schools. They use sets of rigorous research-based standards to examine the whole institution. For example, they look at the programs that are in place at the different campuses. They look at the cultural context of the schools and the community of stakeholders to determine how well the parts work together to meet the needs of our boys and girls at La Jolla ISD. So I'm proud to announce that all 8 middle schools were accredited with flying colors. First, we have
Dr.
Lorenzo de
Oliveira.
Zavala.
Dr.
Principal.
Oliveira, I would just want to add that middle school accreditation is not a requirement, but at La Jolla ISD we chose and the principals agreed that they wanted to go through the process to be able to identify strengths in our district and areas that we needed to approve. So this was a voluntary process, even though it was a hard, extensive project that our principals underwent. They chose to be to undergo the accreditation process. So thank you, middle school principals, for that.
Thank you, Dr. Sainz. So the first one was Dr. Uresti from Lorenzo de Zavala Middle School. Next, we have Mr. Rolando Rios from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Followed by Ms. Carly Salinas from Dr. Sainz Middle School. Next, we have Ms. Belen Martinez from Memorial Middle School. Following, we have Mr. Tomas Michael Ocaña from Ann Richards Middle School. Next, we have Mr. Santana Galvan from Irene Garcia Middle School. Next, we have Ms. Nidia Ortiz from J.D. Salinas Middle School. And last but not least, we have Mr. Jose Garcia from Domingo Trevino Middle School. Congratulations to all middle schools. We are very proud of all your hard work. Thank you all.
Congratulations, middle school principals. Yes. For our next recognition, if we can have Ms. Espi Ochoa and Mr. Armin Garza recognize the next students. We have recognition of students from La Jolla High School, Juarez Lincoln High School, Palmview High School, T-STEM Academies, and Thelma Salinas STEM Early College High School, who participated in the Journalism STEM program at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. We have Ms. Santos Palomo, Academy Director from Juarez Lincoln High School, that will do this recognition.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Science. My name is Santos Palomo. I serve as the T-STEM Academy Director for Juarez Lincoln High School. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Angela Chapman, an Associate Professor at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, who will be recognizing our students who participated in this year's 2019 J-STEM program. Dr. Chapman has a master's in biology with the University of Kentucky and a PhD in science of education from the University of South Florida. She has taught middle school science, high school biology, and college biology before starting in the College of Education and P16 integration at UTRGV in 2013. Since then, she has been a science teacher educator of elementary and secondary schools. Whether she is teaching science or teaching future teachers how to teach science, She has always been passionate about making sure that science is engaging and accessible to all students. For example, she started the JSTEM program in 2016 as a way to engage high school students in authentic STEM integration while mentoring pre-service math and science teachers. JSTEM is a 6-week research science-based program that allows students the opportunity to engage in research work with college professors at the university. This is our 3rd year partnering with Dr. Chapman, and I am pleased to inform you that in her role in this program, she has allowed our students to experience the college life and explore their career interests and maximize their learning and interests, working alongside other professors and graduate students. Students have had the opportunity to work hands-on, trying to solve solutions to the real-world problems. These are learning experiences that are irreplaceable. Without further ado, Dr. Chapman, will you please come and address our board and recognize our students?
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation to come here. That was a very great introduction, and I have to say this year's program, every year it gets a little better. We just finished our 4th year, and this year the students all created and tested sand biofilters as a way of solving one of our water problems that is a global problem. We were able to video conference with students in Africa, high school students at a private school in Africa who were doing a similar project. They were on the local news. And again, I'm gonna call up Mr. Anthony Bailey and Mr. Robert Luna, who were my former students, pre-service teachers who graduated in May as a high school math teacher, high school biology teacher, and they both have just started teaching. And Mr. Luna went to La Jolla High School, then came to UTRGV where he was my student, and now he's back teaching at La Jolla High School starting in this year. I'm excited this year that I'm looking to continue to expand the program through working on grant proposals with Mr. Chavez to turn this hopefully into a residency model where your high school students can come and stay on campus for a month in the summer while doing their project and really truly experience the college life. And also to create a bridge program for these students. I've just talked to 2 or 3 of them, and they plan to come to UTRGV in the next fall to study engineering. So to create a faculty mentor match program where we can bring them in before they start in the fall and have a professor who can mentor them for their whole college career, because we know the research shows that those students have a much better sense of belonging and greater success. So I'm very excited to work with your school district. It's been just an absolute pleasure. But with that, I get to announce, so the students that completed this year's JSTEM summer program, so we have Vanessa Aguilar from La Jolla High School. Raul Gonzalez from La Jolla High School. Marisa Barrientos from La Jolla High School. Adrian Canales from La Jolla High School. And Emily Solis from La Jolla High School. And Angela Gonzalez, also from La Jolla High School. So the following students are from Juarez Lincoln High School. Adrian Suarez. Gabriel Cervantes. Emmanuel Matamoros. Yair Matamoros. Angel Lopez. Juan Perez. And from Palmview High School, Eric Pena. And Jandre Perez. And from Thelma Salinas STEM, Rodolfo Rodriguez. Congratulations, guys. Can you, Mrs. Palomo, Mr. Bocanegra, Mr. Caño, and Mr. Rodriguez, please join the students for a photo.
Parents of any of these students, if you're in the audience, please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you so much for your support, parents.
hold on. These guys have to. All right. Got it? Okay. Anthony. Okay.
Congratulations, students. That concludes the superintendent's report.
We will go to approval of minutes of October 21st, 2019. Can I entertain a motion for approval?
Also moved.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to discussions. Discussion of proposed La Jolla ISD after-school child care services to elementary children of working families.
Good evening, Madam President, Ms. Ochoa, distinguished members of the board, Dr. Science, and members of the community. This evening I come before you to go ahead and go over a package that we prepared. And the first item for this after-school care program, which is what I'm going to be discussing, will offer after-school daycare services for parents and community members who need this service. Number two, the school staff will be paid to take care of students just like we pay teachers for after-school tutoring. The cost per child will be $30 with a $5 late fee for every 15 minutes that the child is not picked up. Number four, the time will be from 3:05 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, every day of the school day. Number five, La Jolla ISD will also provide a snack from the Child Nutrition Department for the student. Number six, we plan to begin the after-school program at Escandon Elementary and Garza Elementaries, and eventually add additional campuses as needed or requested by the principals and community. Number seven, we plan to have several activities for the students in rotation at the campuses, which include 5. And if you have a question at any time, please go ahead and ask. The five rotation activity stations would be, one, of course, most important is having homework, and which teachers will assist the students for the homework and their assignments. The second would be a reading renaissance station activity, which students will read library books at the library and test on reading renaissance as well. The third station would be computer station, which students would be incorporating reading, math, science activities and lessons. Number four, wellness. Of course, wellness is going to be included as well. And such activities would be like calisthenics, stretching, running, jogging, jump rope, and such. And then finally, we will have a fine arts station for our students that stay after school in this daycare program, after school care program at the elementary levels. All right, and the fine arts stations will be deemed as by the principal and what the principal can offer at the campus. Note that activities and rotation schedules will be flexible as well, as per principal's discretion and student needs. Are there any questions?
Mr. Villarreal, I just have a question.
Sure.
Have we already conducted a study, like how much this would cost? And is this coming from the district's general fund?
We did do a study at 2 campuses already. Okay. And there is a need, which is good. The cost is not going to come out of the general fund. Mm-hmm. Parents will be paying for it. We were debating $40, $30. Some districts do even more than $40, $50. So we're going to take a step at $30 and see if first of all, the money is going to be used to pay the teachers and buy booklets and the resources for students. And the money's this is not to make a profit. All the money is going to go right back for the kids in instruction. So I answered both questions.
So you're expecting such a good turnout to where it's essentially going to pay for itself? How many students would it take for this program to pay for
Roughly,
itself?
we're looking at about 20 students If we don't get the 20 students, and by the way, at one of the campuses, we already have more than the allotted number of, not allotted, but 20 students. If it per se, we already looked at the numbers as well, and if it, let's say that the teacher is, how can I put it for you, to you? If there's less students, we're going to lessen the time of, not the hours, but the time that the teacher, we're going to bring in a teacher, maybe we're looking at options, bring in a teacher a little later, perhaps, or not necessarily a teacher, but a paraprofessional as well.
That's why we wanted to start with 2 schools so that we can make adjustments as needed.
Correct. So we're looking at the budget, but that's very important. Very, very good question.
So what would the ratio be, student to teacher ratio after school?
Good question. We're looking at about 18 to 1.
18 to
1.
But
will they be mixed ages together, or are we dividing them by grade level?
Yes, it'll be mixed ages, of course.
So we can have pre-kindergarten students with 5th graders?
We might have some of that, correct. Yes.
And we would have the proper administrator to administer medication in case, because it says here that, so we would have to have a nurse on call?
It would not necessarily be a nurse. We have employees that are also trained. At every campus, there's a second employee that has to be trained with in the medical field, in like administering medicine, administering like an EpiPen in case of bee sting. Aside from, so yes, that is true. Good questions.
When are we looking at starting this program?
As soon as, if board approves, we're looking at this coming week.
With 2 schools?
Excuse me?
2 schools?
At 2 schools, correct. And hopefully maybe at the other campuses as well as needed.
So I know La Jolla is innovative, but do you know of any other districts that are doing this as well?
Yes, Rio Grande ISD and Mission CISD is doing it as well.
Sharyland also has an after-school care program.
Yes, very true. Sharyland as well. Good
Thank
questions.
you, Mr. Gabriel.
Good caring questions. Anything else?
Thank
we
you.
also included the packet in your binder as well for your reference. And if you have any questions or comments from now till we begin the program or after,
thank you.
Feel free to chime in.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal.
We'll go on to discussion of La Jolla ISD preliminary statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the general fund period ending August 31st, 2019.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Science. Tonight I'll be discussing with you the preliminary statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the general fund for the period ending August 31st, 2019. Okay, as you can see, I would like to direct you to page 41 in your budget packet, or it's also on your screen. The district as of August 31st, 2019, collected a total of $296,481,620 in revenues, of which $33,078,000 are in local and intermediate sources. Majority of that is taxes. We had $236,401,000 in state program revenues. That's basically what the district generates from the state. In federal programs, we have $27 million. That is, the majority of that is our child nutrition program. We also have the SHARS program and some of the indirect costs from some of the federal funds that the district administers. Okay, that's a total of $296,481,000. Okay, the next one is we have total expenditures. We had total expenditures of $298,118,636. As you can see, under function 11, which is instruction, it amounts to $145,835,000 in instruction, which amounts to about 49% of the total expenditures were in direct classroom instruction. Okay. The excess of expenditures over revenues was $1,637,000 that we exceeded our revenues by that much. We also had some other resources of $329,000. That's mainly money that we generated from our auction and a capital lease that we had during the year. Other uses, we transferred $1.1 million to other funding sources. For example, the debt service fund, we transferred about $700,000. The Sports and Learning Complex, $73,000. The Sports Howling Trails Golf Course is $177,000, and the print shop $235,000. That amounts to the $1,183,000 that the general fund supplemented those other programs. The total net change in fund balances of our current year operations was $2,490,000. Okay. As you can see in there, we had prior period adjustments of 1.5. The district underwent a property value study for some of the previous years, so some of that money is from that we got generated additional revenues from the state. Therefore, our beginning fund balance on September 1st, 2018 was $73,116,000. With the current year operations and the prior period adjustments, our ending fund balance for the period ending August 31st, 2019 was $72,128,105. That's a net decrease of our fund balance of $988,000. Okay, we went into our fund balance during this current year for $988,000. Okay. We have also since our fund balance is $72,128,000 as of 8/31/19, that represents 2.9 of current 3 months operations, which is below what the state recommends. The state recommends that we have at least 3 months of operating expenditures in our fund balance. But some of that fund balance that we have is restricted. And there you'll see some of the restrictions. For example, out of the $72 million, $2 million is restricted for child nutrition services. That's the only place that we can use them for. In addition, there is 1.2 for career and technology education, 2.2 for state compensatory, $1 million for state bilingual, 5.6 committed for construction, and that is some of the settlements that the district had in the previous years. We do have already some of that fund balance assigned for the shortfall in the 1920 budget of $2.3 million. And there's $981,000 reserved for outstanding encumbrances that were outstanding as of 8/31/19 that we need to fund those for this coming year. And we previously, I believe in the month of September, we brought in a budget amendment of $1.6 million. That gives us some restrictive fund balance of $17,320,000, which gives us an unassigned fund balance of $54,807,000 for the period ending 8/31/19. That represents 2.21 months of operation compared to what the state recommends of 3 months of operation or below. This concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
So you said that we're not at 3 months yet? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. We're not at 3 months. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rio.
We'll move on to Child Nutrition Services Department report.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Science, Superintendent of Schools. Good evening to La Jolla administrators and CNS and La Jolla community. My name is Galina Ojeda Reyes. I serve as a Child Nutrition Director for La Jolla ISD. With me today, I have Ms. Carmen Ocañas Lerma, Food and Nutrition Program Director at Region 1. I also have CNS administration and CNS staff joining us today. So thank you for having us today here. The purpose of my visit is to share with you La Jolla Child Nutrition Services report. And with that in mind, the purpose of this presentation is to make you aware of the Texas Department of Agriculture, also known as TDA. We received an email from them back in October 22nd, 2019, urging La Jolla ISD to address the Saturday meals. The service of the Saturday meals, the service needs to be dismissed from the National School Lunch Program and needs to be adopted by the Child and Adult Care Food Program, also known as a CACFP. Prior to the October email, it has been suggested to La Jolla ISD that we take initiative. Now, TDA, Texas Department of Agriculture is requesting action regarding servicing Saturday meals. So in the presentation I submitted to this report, you will see that we currently operate 5 programs under the Texas Department of Agriculture. And we have the National School Lunch Breakfast, the National School Lunch Program. We have the Child and Adult Meal Program, which includes the pre-Kers. We also have the After School Snack Program, which is under the National School Lunch Program, and that serves as snacks after school ends. And on the 5th one, it is a summer program that operates for the months of June, July, and August.
Ms. Molina, if I may interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, because you're touching on this after-school snack program. How many snacks are we serving our children?
As of last year's data, and actually I have that report for you here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation.
No worries. No, to answer your question, last year we operated in the 18-19 school year, we served 275,237 snacks after school.
And this is a mandatory program, right? This after-school snack program?
It is adopted by La Jolla with collaboration with TDA, so yes.
Yes, along with the National School Lunch Program,
breakfast,
right?
lunch, and snack, correct.
So items 1, 2, and 4 are required programs, right?
1, 2,
and 5.
Actually, all of them.
I was under the impression that item number 3 for the district is a recommended program. Is that true?
No.
It's a required?
Yes, because we have pre-Kers, and they fall under that program. The pre-K, the new rule that came about maybe 3-4 years ago.
So just for pre-Kers or overall?
Well, that's the umbrella that covers pre-Kers, and also now with this email is asking that the state is asking the entity, which is us, La Jolla ISD, to choose, because what the email is saying is that no longer through National School Lunch Program you may operate and ask for reimbursement for Saturday meals.
Okay.
So with that in mind, we as a district have to choose what the entity wants to do, lose the Saturdays or adopt them in the Child and Adult Meal Program, which is also for pre-Kers.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No worries. So we currently have 5 programs. And we received an email back in August 22nd by TDA, and there were several emails. First was inviting and suggesting and urging that we take action, and now we're being told to make a decision. So we waited as much as we could, and now the state is asking for an answer from the entity, which is us, La Jolla ISD, to allocate or place where the Saturday meals were going to be under what program. Are we going to lose them under the National School Lunch Program, or are we going to be adopting them under the Cacfp program, which is also the child care for kinder and supper meals and also Saturday meals. So with
are we serving Saturdays right now as we speak?
Yes.
We're serving, so now we would just serve during the week as well?
We serve
the dinner.
I'm sorry?
Correct? So we would be serving the dinners after school.
Well, we're moving forward.
That's what we're moving forward to.
Yes, what we're presenting today is that. So we received that email on October 22nd, and that is asking us to make a decision. So this is how it will look like. It will look like, moving forward, it will look like 4 programs, which is the breakfast, the lunch, the child and adult meals, and the summer feeding. So to answer your question, it is to be under that number 3. It would be child and adult meal programs. It will include pre-Kers, Saturdays, and supper. So if we choose to adopt those, then we will begin giving suppers as well. Yes.
The suppers would be given at what time?
The suppers will be replacing the after-school care program. So it will initiate as soon as the bell rings. So all La Jolla ISD children enrolled in any activity after school will be benefiting from that service.
So what happens to the kids after practice, athletics and stuff like that?
We have up to 2 hours of operation for the after-school program and the supper, and we'll adjust to what the need is.
The need is because, like, what time do we? Our middle schools, what time are they out? They're out at 3, right? So
elementaries, we will begin at 3:10.
3:10.
Mm-hmm.
The practice isn't over till 5:30. I just want to make sure that.
Elementaries.
No, middle school.
Middle school will finish around 5:30 or 6 o'clock.
The
Supper.
okay.
Yes.
That's what I want to make sure that it's.
So from the bell rings, we have 2 hours that we can operate. So under those 2 hours, that window of operation for the athletics and also the enrichment programs will be benefiting from the service.
Will that give us enough time to feed everybody?
Yes.
Will we need to hire more staff?
Currently, just with taking away the supper program, and that's what we're here as well, is because we want to ask for permission to hire more staff to operate our current breakfast, lunch, and our needs. But to answer your question specifically for supper, yes, that would generate more more employing for our La Jolla community.
My understanding is that we're operating at a almost $500,000 deficit on the CNS program. Where would the funding come to prepare for this?
To answer that question specifically, that occurred because of the raises that we have been occurring or having these couple of years. But for the operation part of the CNS, we have not been in the hole.
Okay, those are the numbers that I got not too long ago, which was last week. And another question that I just have, why aren't we serving more snacks after school? Why isn't every school offering it after school?
That's my question as well. At this point, every student staying behind for UIL practice is getting a snack, right?
It is up to the principal's discretion. So we go and invite all principals that we offer those services, and they request on a document to us what dates, what amount of students, and what times they will be having the enrichment activities, and we work with the principal directly. So if the campus, as of today, we only have 3 campuses who are not participating in the after-school snack program, but for the rest, all campuses are, except for 3, 1 middle school and 2 elementaries. Those are the only 2 campuses not participating.
It's being advertised. Is there any reason why they wouldn't be taking advantage of?
Well, periodically they do. They have some months they do, some months they don't. For the most part, they're very active.
Is there like a minimum amount of students that have to be present at an after-school program?
No.
It can be 5 students staying behind, and the principal requests a snack for those 5 students.
Correct. We're here
to serve them. They will get a snack.
Yes.
Okay.
Some principals begin their tutoring in the spring, so that might be one of the reasons
we
why
have
there might be
highs
some.
and lows, yeah. Months.
How was the summer like for the summer feeding program? How did that work out?
Oh, it was the best this past year. It was
Do you know
the
have
best.
the numbers to see more or less how many
in
kids got
this
fed?
one with me, no, but in the presentation I gave you all about a month ago, the number is there, and I didn't memorize that one.
So it was a good turnout.
It was the most successful one, yes.
From-
59 sites.
From years past.
From what I can recall, 11 years serving your district, it is the highest this past summer. It was 52 sites, but I can't recall the exact number of served meals.
I just want to make sure that everybody that stays after school in every school gets fed every day, because there's a lot of need in our area, and I think all the elementary staying behind should. I'm all for it. I just want to make sure that it's not at the principals, because some principals may not request it, but it's not up to the principal. The child needs it. So I want to make sure that every student gets the full advantage of the program. You know what I mean? So that way they're able to have their dinner, because in the area we're in, a lot of our kids, that's their last meal of the day. And I want to make sure that every school and everybody that stays after school make sure they get their meal.
And you have the right team. Child Nutrition Services team, it is our vision to make sure we're here for their students. Because of them, we have our job. So we thank them, we take care of them, and we offer as much as we can. And this is something that we promise to make sure that we allocate the manpower, the food, and the services for our children all day long.
Let's just have a plan of action for the numbers so we can get the most out of it, because, it defeats the purpose to have 5 kids only and have a full staff stay behind. You know what I mean? So let's try to promote the numbers. Let's try to bring everybody that we can in, so that way it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes, and our cafeteria managers are trained to go speak to principals on a one-on-one monthly whenever we have hot topics or holidays, and that keeps the communication open between the campus and our program to better serve them.
And if you would let us know those 2 elementaries that are not participating in the snack program, update us maybe at the next meeting if they
Okay, I have the names.
Okay.
You want me to mention them?
Yeah.
is Camarena and Evangelina Garza, the two elementaries who are not currently having snacks right now. And for middle school is Chavez Middle School.
And like I said, sometimes the principals begin their tutoring in the spring, so that might be the reason why.
Yes, I'm just giving you the most current data as of today.
Ms. Galina, in reference to the summer feeding program, I know that McAllen takes the food to the kids. So maybe that's an initiative that the district should be looking into for this summer.
The sky is the limit. We want to make sure that we serve as much as meals we can to our students in every aspect and every program and every campus, so yes.
So maybe you could prepare maybe a report or give us something that we can look at in reference to this summer. That would be awesome.
And increase participation at the high schools. I think it's a little low in the high school, right?
Breakfast participation, yes.
Maybe take it to the classrooms. I mean, if that helps.
We want to propose some things, but let us get it together, a good plan, and I'll bring it up to your attention so we can decide together. And just to conclude, this is a table of what the total revenue looks like using snack data. So for actually, let me begin from the top. The school breakfast program, last year, in the 19-18 school year, we served 3.1 million meals, generating 6.9 million in revenue. National School Lunch Program, we served 3.9 meals, generating a 13.9 million in revenue. And then this is where the presentation comes back to the supper program. So with the snack data, we will be replacing the snack with the supper program. And just with those numbers, we will be generating close to $1 million. Saturdays, summer feeding, oh, there you go. That's the meals. The summer feeding, we serve 169,000 meals, generating $484,000. And for a total of $22.3 million that we're projecting to bring as a revenue for school year 19-20.
So for the summer feeding, those were 169,000 meals in 52 sites.
Yes.
So what does that mean in numbers? Would you give me a breakdown? Más o menos, it would be...
And what, I'm sorry?
169,000 meals divided by 52 sites. What is that? I'm sorry.
All depends because some sites have breakfast or lunch or they have both. And some have operated only in the June or July. So I can generate a more specific answer for you on that.
Because I know that on the snacks you said you were going to serve 500,000 meals.
Snacks.
That you're looking at almost 2,800 meals on a weekly basis. So I don't know if we're giving that already as a snack on a weekly basis, but the numbers look great as long as we can get to those numbers.
Oh, yes. That we're going to do everything possible to make sure we hit those targets. Are there any other questions?
What is the application process for the Cacfp program?
The application process begins at Region 1, and it takes about maybe 1 full week, 5 business days. So we would be, based on the response and the support from tonight, we will be applying as soon as possible, and it would take up to 5 business days to get a response from the state, and then we will be able to operate as soon as possible to be able to ask for reimbursement.
I just have a question on this email that was included in our presentation. So it looks like it's specifically geared toward one of our campuses. Can you kind of give us the backstory on that?
Which one? Oh.
It almost looks like an automated email. Would that be the case?
The one we're here for?
The one that you included in the presentation.
Okay. Yeah, you're reading the La Jolla STEM early?
Yes.
Okay, that's just one example of the campuses that we have. It's not targeting the campus, it's just that's the way it printed out.
But it was in response to maybe an inquiry regarding this campus in particular?
No, it's just part of, that's the name on the application, the first school that was generated, but it has nothing to do with the email. Okay. You're asking for La Jolla STEM College High School, right? There's a little note on the bottom?
It's in the email that was included in the presentation. At the very bottom, it says, it mentions one school, but that's just...
It's an example of the application that includes the Saturday meals there. For me to go in and check it out as an example.
Okay.
In the application process.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any questions for Region 1 representative? No?
I don't know if maybe she wants to come up and give us a little bit of the backstory on the application process and what that would entail.
Just to introduce myself, I don't want to get into a long-winded story about this great program, but I do want to commend Galena on doing such a good job because these numbers really are really high, and it just speaks volumes of the success that this department has and also the district. Guidance regarding the NSLP and the CACFP was introduced this summer, and so all of the school districts were contacted with the same email that you have, asking them to change their application packet from meals on Saturday from NSLP to CACFP, right? So we got bombarded with phone calls at Region 1 with school districts asking for guidance. A lot of the districts in Region 1 area already have a CACFP application, so it was no big deal. They clicked the button, then they went on the other side, clicked this other button. La Jolla did not have a CACFP application, so that needs to be initiated. So that's when the conversation started of, well, what happens next? So what happens next is that she needs to fill out a CACFP application packet with the state, follow all the guidelines, follow all the rules, serve the meals to the kids, and then, you know, hopefully increase some of these numbers. So she's on the right track. She does an outstanding job. And I like the idea of converting some of these snacks, converting them into dinners, because you mentioned something really important, which is students a lot of times stay after school for some kind of an enrichment activity, but there are some that are staying for tutoring that lasts a lot longer than 4:30, 5 o'clock. So converting the snack into a heartier meal just makes sense. You also have the option to do both if you wanted to. You can do the snack, 2 hours later, bring out a supper for these kids so that
or you can go vice versa, right? Give the dinner and then the snack before they leave?
Yeah. So it just depends on how long the student is on campus, then you can pull off both services. If they're not there that long, then we recommend serving them a dinner versus a snack. Because of the components that are inside of a snack, there's only 2 items on there. So it could be half a peanut butter sandwich and a little carton of milk versus a full dinner that has 5 components, which vegetable, fruit, the milk, the grain, and the protein, which is a much better deal. It's much better for kids. But thank you for having me, and I can't say how great La Jolla and their child nutrition department is. It's one of my pride and joys, and also because I always harp on the support that we get from La Jolla, hosting trainings, and also the Manager Academy that we had here 2 years in a row. And La Jolla managed to graduate all of their managers in our academy. So they're all Region 1 Academy graduates. So they're well trained. You're in good hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just to conclude, I just want to remind that 6% is the agreement of indirect costs between the entity of La Jolla CNS and La Jolla as a district. So 6% of the total revenue in the school year budget goes back into the fund balance. Okay? So it would be a win-win for not only our district, our students, but also to our community as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to presentation of targeted improvement plans for Cuates Lincoln High School, Domingo Treviño Middle School, Dr. Javier Sainz Middle School, John F. Kennedy Elementary, Juan Seguin Elementary, Henry B. Gonzalez Elementary, Patricio Perez Elementary, and Corina Peña Elementary.
Good evening, Madam President, SP Ochoa, and distinguished board, administration, and members of the community. My name is J.R. Flores. I serve as the Federal Programs Director as well as the District Coordinator for School Improvement. And today I'm presenting to you the Target Improvement Plan. So different performance results on campus triggered different interventions under state and federal law. So as you can see from this slide, we have the state accountability monitoring. And you see Dr. Americo Paredes Elementary, Dr. Science Middle School, Henry B. Gonzalez Elementary, Juan N. Seguin Elementary. Under the federal, we have the federal required monitoring. We have JFK, Dr. Javier Science Middle School, Patricio Perez Elementary, Juan Seguin Elementary, Corina Peña Elementary, Domingo Treviño Middle School, and Juarez Lincoln High School. So the campus identification for this target improvement plans, under the state monitoring, we have, as you can see from this slide, Dr. Americo Paredes, they got an overall B, but they got a domain, and the domain a D, which is a closing the gaps. Dr. Javier Science Middle School, overall C, but a D in the domain, which is the student achievement. Henry B. Gonzalez Elementary, overall C, with a domain D and closing the gaps. And Juan N. Seguin Elementary, overall C, domain D, closing the gaps. So just a synopsis here for the closing the gaps consists of the academic achievement status, the growth status, graduation rate status, the EL proficiency status, student success status, and school quality status. The student achievement is the START, which is the approaches, meets, and masters, a calculation of the 90-60-30. So under the federal, as you can see from this slide, John F. Kennedy Elementary, they were labeled under additional target support under a special ed group. So they go under special groups now, under the subpopulations, for reading and math and student success. Dr. Javier Science Middle School, targeted support and improvement for all students. Academic achievement in math and reading, growth in math, and student success. For Patricio Elementary, additional target support, special education, reading and math, and student success. Juan N. Seguin Elementary is a target support and improvement for all students, academic achievement, and growth in math and student success. Corina Peña, targeted support and improvement for all students, academic achievement in reading and math and student success. Domingo Treviño Middle School, targeted support and improvement, all students, academic achievement in reading and math, growth in math and student success. And then lastly, Juarez Lincoln, targeted support and improvement for all students, academic achievement in reading and math, and graduation rate. So the state is putting out the campus level performance intervention framework. So see, as you can see, the framework specifies what must be done for schools that receive a D rating in one of the domains for the state accountability, and what must be done when schools are identified as target or additional target support under that support under Every Student Succeed Act, which is the federal, and the first year campus had been already assigned a D rating. This is the initial implementation under the Texas Education Code, Chapter 39, Section 101. So here's the framework. For the schools that got a D, a domain D, is a DCSI assignment, which is myself, and we have an attestation, which is an assurance that we're going to be engaging. And as you can see, public meeting for input. And tonight we're coming here for board approval. Although it says they're hearing, by the time we were already engaging in this, the state already told us that we can have a public hearing at the campuses. So that already happened. And under the federal, for additional target support, you can see that there's no assignment for only the contact name. And you can see the rest of it is only saying just engage under the target improvement plan. And for the targeted support, as you can see, it's the same thing for that. So with me here in the audience, we have the principals. If you have any questions in reference to this targeted improvement plan, that's my presentation.
So the targeted improvement plans are in the binder, and there's another item for approval of the plans.
That's correct, Dr. Science.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Flores.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, principals. for being here.
And I know all of you are working tirelessly, very closely with your teachers and the support team that you have from admin and outside. So thank you for that. Can I entertain a motion for approval for all items under consent agenda?
We have
One more.
We have number 5.
Okay,
discussion
sorry.
on number 5.
Update on the PSI Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amendment Project.
Good evening, Dr. Sines, Madam President, members of the board, administration, members of the community. My name is Greg Mizell. I'm with Performance Services. We're the firm working with the district on this energy savings project. I'll just pull up a few notes for the update on where we are with construction. So this project consists of several different items related to energy efficiency, reducing operating costs, increasing safety, and improving facilities. The first item is HVAC upgrades with the goal of reducing maintenance and increasing efficiency. We have commenced work on this part of the project at Tabasco this week, following at Perez and Diaz later this month, moving into Ann Richards and De Zapala after that in December. So we've laid out a plan with the district operations department, prioritizing which AC units need to be replaced first based on which ones are creating the most problem and have the most need. We have a process going with engineering, submittal reviews, approvals, and we're coordinating this, all of this work in weekly meetings with the district. The second part of this project includes some solar PV arrays, a source of renewable energy for La Jolla. We're working at 2 sites, La Jolla High School just northwest of the football field, and Juarez Lincoln High School, I think just off to the north side, I believe. We have engineering underway on this with site development scheduled to commence in November as we finalize the exact locations and layouts of the solar PV arrays. Part of this work includes electrical design, structural design, civil design, just to make sure that the system is going to last for the full life cycle of the equipment and provide the renewable energy benefit for the district. Overall completion for the solar is scheduled for spring of 2020, roughly May. On the HVAC, just going back to that, same thing, spring of 2020 for completion. Another part of this project includes elementary school tracks. We're installing 4-lane asphalt tracks at 23 elementary schools. The construction's commencing next week, and again, we are kind of prioritizing coordinating installation of these tracks with operations department, principals, athletic directors, et cetera, to make sure this work goes in smoothly. And again, we have full civil design for each one of these locations to make sure the site is coordinated properly. Security gates and fencing, so I mentioned just increased safety. So this part of the project is where we're installing gates and fencing to restrict vehicle access to schools, so some security gates. We're in the process of the electrical design right now, and we have some of the fencing work scheduled over the next few weeks at the schools listed there. The full scope of the security gates and fencing is scheduled for later in 2020, and I guess I might add that most of these dates are the kind of the conservative finish dates, so we're hoping to improve on these, but I just wanted to put these out here because this is when we're sure that we'll be done. Roofing repairs and replacement, so there's roof replacement at the La Jolla High School vocational building, and then several repairs scheduled for the high school where there are the skylights. And again, this is kind of a maintenance improvement. Some continued leaks in these locations, and we're just looking to implement a more permanent fix. This design is underway right now with an architect, and this work is scheduled to be complete in spring 2020 as well. The next one is power conditioning, which is really power factor correction. How efficient is the power being used within each school? So there's equipment that that we already have installed at 35 different schools across the district. This is to reduce the electrical costs at each school, improve the power factor, reduce the demand, and basically it also has benefit to the electrical and mechanical equipment at each school as well. So again, this is just kind of a health improvement for the electrical side at each school. The installation is complete, and we're going through some measurement and verification and just some commissioning checks to make sure that this equipment is performing as expected. And that'll likely take a couple of months, and we'll be doing energy bill analysis checking as well to verify that what we're seeing from the utility matches what we're showing in the engineering calculations. The final one includes artificial turf and track resurfacing replacements at Palmview and Juarez-Lincoln. So this work requires a little more design, so it's going to be a little bit longer before we get this kicked off. But at Palmview, we're looking at later this month with completion in March 2020. And then Juarez-Lincoln, there are some interlocal agreements that are underway already that will allow all of the design work and site prep work to continue. That one's scheduled for completion in July of 2020. So those are the updates I have, and welcome to answer any questions you guys have. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Ochoa, before we go into consent agenda, I would like to remove number 5 under B. That one is a duplicate item of number 9, but number 9 has the correct pricing, so we'll need to take no action on number 5 under B, bids.
Okay. Thank you.
A motion for consent agenda?
I'll second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We'll go to bids on taking no action with number 5. Can I entertain a motion? For number 5, no action. Still have to take it on, take no action.
No.
And second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 11, approval of authorization to solicit request of qualifications RFQs for student telemedicine services.
Madam President, can you pull the mic towards you a little bit more?
Okay. Approval of authorization to solicit request of qualifications RFQs for student telemedicine services. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All against? Motion passes.
Ms. Ochoa, for number 12 and 13, I would like to ask for no action on those two. Administration is not ready to make a recommendation on those two. We'll bring them back.
Okay.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and I have a second on both items 12 and 13 under bids. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Under business and finance, approval of La Jolla ISD Camarena Elementary electrical upgrade quotation through job order contract CSP number 2018-37. Can I entertain? I have a motion, can I have a second? I have a motion by Oscar, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Approval to operate the Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, in the Child Nutrition Services Department. Can I entertain a motion?
Madam President, I have a motion. I'd like to revisit this item at a later date. I have some more questions when it comes to our child nutrition department. So I have a motion to postpone this item.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
You mean for like a further meeting, or?
Yes, I have some more questions for our child nutrition program when it comes to this item.
Okay, I have a motion to postpone by Ms. Ochoa and a second by Mr. Cantu. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Just Ms. Cantu, all in favor? Those opposed? Motion. Okay, so we have no to Mr. Salinas, Hernandez. Do we hear anything from over here? Mr. Garza and myself. Okay. So do I have a motion for approval of?
Also move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Number 8, approval of proposal fiscal year 2019-2020 audit plan. Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Resolution number 2019/14, authorizing the distribution of votes for the election of the Appraisal District Board of Directors for 2020-2021.
Is item number 9?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to divvy up our votes. 49 votes for Eddie Betancourt, 49 votes for Amador Requenes, 49 votes for Joe Olivares, and 48 votes for Xavi Mahatani.
I'll second.
How does this work? We can each
We
divide
have,
them?
the board has a total of 195 votes to distribute how the board wishes. They can be given to one or however the board wishes to divide the 195 votes.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Garza?
I'd like to divide the votes up. 49 votes given to each Eddie Betancourt, Amador Requenes, and Joe Olivares, and 48 votes given to Xavi Mahatani.
So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on...
Excuse me, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to terminate the memorandum of understanding current in place with the La Jolla ISD and the Child Nutrition Service.
Is there just for legal, is there a transition or?
Can I just have a second so we can start discussion?
A second to discuss it or a second to terminate?
Oh.
So the second, Ms. Cantu, so the second only brings the item to the floor, and that'll allow me to answer Mr. Salinas'
Okay.
question.
I second.
Second. What's your question, Mr. Salinas?
I just want to make sure that on the transition, the
Yes.
kids are not left without.
Okay, so
you
there's
know.
been approval on item.
Is there like a grace period,
number
like a
7,
transition
correct.
period
Under
for that?
miscellaneous on the MOU, there's a 10-day period that we have to give them written notice.
But will we be ready within
With
those days?
staff and?
Ms. Galina,
Mr.
is
Salinas,
your
that'd be a question
department
for
ready
CNS.
to feed our students?
Yes, it takes a week of application process, and we have the food, and we have the staff, because we're replacing the after-school program with the supper, so we're already operating that program.
But on the staff, doesn't it have to be board approved if we're going to hire more people?
But with the current people that we have, we're operating the after-school program, so we will use the same staff.
And the notice is just 10 days like that?
To 10 days to whom, Mr. Salinas?
Isn't it usually like 60 days or?
Well, the current MOU that's in place under miscellaneous, it says there, in order to terminate, you would have to give the entity 10 days.
We just need to make sure that the numbers given are numbers that are gonna make sense, because at the end of the day, we don't wanna leave any child without getting fed. I think we should have an action plan to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the kids. Because in a 2-hour gap, we need to make sure that after those kids that leave after 2 hours or finish at 2 hours and a half, make sure that we don't have a cutoff time. I just want everything to be transition smoothly. You know what I mean? And if we have to hire extra staff, let's do it. But just make sure that we cover all our bases so that we make sure that everything flows perfectly.
So on that motion, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone terminating this contract until we are sure we're prepared and that we have a smooth transition, because we want to avoid any children left without meals. Personally, I have a child in UIL. I just double checked right now. He's not receiving a snack after school. This is why I said I have questions. And I don't mean to sound upset, but if I have a child in UIL and I just confirmed that he's not getting a snack after school, that upsets me.
Yeah,
it upsets me because right now you stood in front of me and you said that he does. I want to revisit this. I want to postpone it until we have a smooth transition.
Well, to answer your question, we operate 5 programs. So we have the experience and the training to conduct those programs. And to smoothly transition from program to program, yes, we may do so, we can do so. And we're here to serve the kids, bottom line.
So when I tell you that my son is not getting a snack after school, what is your answer to that?
I would invite him to come to the cafeteria at the campus that he belongs to, and he can get us.
But it could be the principal has not requested yet, so we would.
Or the teachers are not properly trained to take the kids to the cafeteria, because we're assuming the kids are just going to show up.
We're here to help also with administration to help transition that.
Well, that's what we want. We want to be on the same page to make sure that it flows.
I just want to make sure that.
To answer your question, Mr. Salinas, Mr. Flores is correct. The MOU does say that you do have to give 10 days notice. However, that is not the board. To assure a smooth transition, the board can give more time. If you're concerned about the smooth transition, you can give the 10-day notice or you can expand it.
Okay, because to my understanding, this is something that a company has been doing for us. And we find out just days ago that we're one of 4 districts that are not doing it. So all the years prior to that, I mean, before this company came on board, which was February of 2017, whatever happened to February of 2016 and February of 2015 and 14, you know, why weren't we doing it? That's one of my questions that I have that I'll address in a committee meeting. But I just want to make sure that the transition is not only the right thing for our students at the right time, making sure that we give the respect to that company that is actually, you know, providing that service for our kids, that we're going forward with it, yes, but I think there should be a transition to where we're able to make sure that it's a win-win situation, not just for us right now, but a transition for everyone, because that company also has employees and they need to make sure that they do that. If they're providing a service for us, they're taking care of our kids. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that we don't go with the recommendation from the state. I think we just need to do it the right way and have our minds and our hearts together, because it is Thanksgiving. It is the month of Thanksgiving and Christmas is just around the corner. So these are normal human beings that have a normal job. That we're going to go with the state, I'm in favor of that, but I think that the transition should be worked out through legal and making sure that we do it right, even though that it's in place, ready to go. That's just my recommendation with that. I am in favor of what you've presented. I think there should be a transition there that gives the respect not only to us and the service to our kids, but to our employees, to all our staff, and at the same time to the company that has given that service to us, when we ourselves were not doing it before they came on board. So,
and we can allow for a certain time for transition, and we can say, you know, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the amount of time.
I think that we should give them whatever. I think that, and I had spoken to Mr. Castillo and to Mr. Flores and to Jerry, and I think Jerry had also said that maybe, what was it, the end of the year or the end of January or something like that, something that can be worked out, and when it goes out.
Mr. Salinas, so currently there's a motion on the floor by Ms. Hernandez to terminate the.
I'll go ahead and second that, but if the motion reads with the transition, so.
Absolutely, okay. And to give time to Ms. Ocaña?
I just wanted to interrupt because before we go off on a different road, I wanted to bring it back to an issue of compliance. And a couple of things that I heard were UIL and football and that's great. We want to make sure that we take care of those kids. But the program is very specific to certain compliance components that require an enrichment program. There needs to be tutoring involved. And so when you ask a question about why isn't this campus principal doing it, why isn't this other campus doing it, there's one of these regulations where you have to start off with enrichment first. Once you have that enrichment component at that campus, then that service is open to everybody. You cannot open it to service football players, UIL, choir, and now tutoring has been included as part of one of those components, right? Mm-hmm. So where tutoring was component before that was allowed to serve, now the state is saying it has to be identified as an instructional day. So when we cannot do that, then we're calling it tutoring. Therefore, what the meals that we offer on a Saturday are not going to be reimbursable. So that's the urgency of allowing child nutrition to open that application is so that she can do Saturday meals. Everything else falls into place. So suppers, the child and adult daycare program began in 2013 and it offered school districts the flexibility of adding at-risk supper or at-risk snack because they understood that there was a lot of kids out there that were staying long periods of time in a campus for whether it was tutoring or there's just hunger out there. You're absolutely right. La Jolla is in a unique situation where lunch might be the last meal that these kids have before they go home, right? So that was enacted in 2013, 2014. A lot of school districts jumped on board and they started doing the program. So I just want to make sure that we understand that enrichment comes first, football, UIL comes later. This program is specific for that.
So we need to just, the thing is we need to plan for, of course, having our enrichment activities and making sure that we bring our kids in. I'm all in favor for it. I just wanted it to be a smooth transition and that's it.
So with that said, I'll second that, but can it be included or does Mrs. Hernandez have to?
Mr. Salinas, so the motion maker was Ms. Hernandez. She would have to give the directive to amend her motion or vote that motion up or down before the additional language can be added. Right now, the motion is Ms. Hernandez gave directive to terminate the MOU. Per the MOU, it is 10 days. If she'd like to increase that, that will solely be up to her unless it's voted up or down.
Let's go ahead and increase it for till the end of the year.
To what?
So she's saying to the
Yes.
end of the year. So I'll second her on that with the transition.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Hernandez and second by
Okay,
Mr.
I think we have a legal that wants to say something.
Clarification, end of the fiscal year or end of the school year?
Oh, this year, 2019.
December?
December.
So January 1st, you want it to be gone, correct?
Yes.
That's what we're clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Hernandez and a second by Mr. Salinas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'll abstain.
For the record, I abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Under Instruction and Student Services, approval of targeted improvement plans for Juarez Lincoln High School, Domingo Treviño Middle School, Dr. Javier Sainz Middle School, Dr. Aparicio Paredes Elementary, John F. Kennedy Elementary, Juan Seguin Elementary, Henry B. Gonzalez Elementary, Patricio Perez Elementary, and Corina Peña.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to accept items 16, 17, and 18 under this tab.
I'll second yours.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
That was 16, 17, and 18, Ms. Rosa.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion
you.
passes.
I'd like to have clarification, item number 17, please. Do we have anybody to present on that?
Motion already passed, but you can go back and discuss.
Okay, we can discuss it in executive session.
Under E, Human Resources, can I entertain a motion for approval?
Also move on that one.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Salinas and a second by Mr. Cantu. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. It is now 8:09,
and we will move into executive session, 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We are out of executive session at 8:50.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion on items 1 through 8 with no action on items 6, 7, and 8 as discussed in executive session.
I have a motion. Can I have a
So
second?
moved.
Can I have a second by Mr. Garza? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 8:50.